What's up guys, Sean from the Lair here. Thanks for tuning into this video. Now recently I did a video on Portland Retro Gaming Expo 2019, and in that video I talked about some of the games that I picked up and that I would do a pickups video for that. So this is what you're going to be watching. It's kind of a nerdy video, so if you're not really into collecting, this probably isn't going to mean that much to you, but as a collector myself, I had a fun time hunting down these games that I've been wanting for, quite a while. Something that you just can't find out in the wild at like a thrift store or maybe a local game store. So let's get started with what I picked up at Portland Retro Gaming Expo 2019.
Alright, first game that I got was Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance on the Game Boy Advance. This is one of those Castlevania games that I classify as more of an RPG. It's pretty rare and I just love the cover art for this game, and I ended up paying $50 for it, back when Konami actually made good games. Up next we have Advance Wars 2 Black Hole Rising for the Game Boy Advance. This is one of those turn-based tactical games. If you aren't familiar with Advance Wars or Advance Wars 2, I highly recommend checking them out. It's kind of like Fire Emblem, but with tanks and soldiers. They were awesome little tactical games, but the franchise just kind of faded out of existence, but I ended up paying $25 for this. It's even complete. Up next is Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament for the Game Boy Advance. This is yet another franchise that faded out of existence. I don't know why they don't bring it back. I like to compare these games to Rystar, if anyone's ever played that, or even the Tomba series. God, I miss those games. Every single Klonoa game is pretty rare, and if you can find one, definitely pick them up, because if you find it out in the wild, you'll probably never see one again. And it's for that very reason that I paid $50 for this game. Next, I picked up Pokemon Trading Card Game for Game Boy Color. If you're like myself and you're around 9 or 10 when Pokemon came out, then you probably played the trading card game. This game was a fantastic way to teach you how to play the game if you didn't have the cards. It was very similar to the actual Pokemon games, but with cards, and it taught you everything you needed to know in order to play. Unfortunately, it did not have the limited edition Pokemon card inside, but I picked this up for $25. Moving on, we have Final Fantasy Legend 3 for the original Game Boy. In total, there are 4 Final Fantasy games on the original Game Boy, and oddly enough, none of them are actually Final Fantasy games. There's Final Fantasy Legend, Final Fantasy Legend 2, Final Fantasy Legend 3, and Final Fantasy Adventure. The 3 Legends games are actually Saga games, which is another RPG franchise from Square, and Final Fantasy Adventures is actually Sword of Mana. All the Game Boy games were rebranded to have the Final Fantasy name because brand awareness. We all knew what Final Fantasy was here in North America. I almost have all of these Game Boy games, and they're extremely rare and very expensive. This one I paid $60 for. Up next is a sealed copy of Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly for the PlayStation 2. I've played all of the Fatal Frame games back in high school, and I love them. They're super nostalgic and they're terrifying. Instead of me telling you, I'm going to shout out my buddies Rob and Wes from Gaming Off the Grid, who just did a video on this. Link will be down below in the description and on the end screen. I picked up this one for $40, and I also bought Fatal Frame 3 The Tormented also for PlayStation 2, and this one for $35. And up next we have Life Force for the NES. This is one of my all-time favorite side-scrolling shooter games, or shmups, whatever you want to call it. One of my all-time favorite things about this game is the boss designs. These bosses are so fucking metal. The game's music is classic, but throwing on some death metal makes this game even more intense. I actually already owned this game, but I didn't have the box or the manual, which was worth picking up because this was only $20. And the last game that I picked up was Wizardry 5 Heart of the Maelstrom for the Super Nintendo. The Wizardry games are my favorite RPG franchise of all time. This series is the epitome of a hardcore first-person turn-based RPG. It's a great mixture of the old Dragon Warrior games mixed with Dungeons & Dragons. And I actually have it tattooed on my knuckles. Cool, huh? The box looks kind of rough on the outside, but that's actually just a plastic protector. I ended up picking this up for $25. And let's take a look at the haul total, $330. Not too bad for 9 games.
As far as collecting goes, conventions are a great place to hunt down rare games, and you can usually get them for a bargain because vendors are more likely to haggle with you when you bundle stuff together, and that's a little collecting tip that, from the Nerd Lair himself. Bundle shit together. That's what I did, and I got a fairly decent price for all of these games, and you don't pay tax at conventions, which is the best part. I had to stop myself from buying a lot of things because I'm going to Japan in 9 days, and I'm going to be loading up on a lot of games because games in Japan Japan are cheap because you're buying them from the source rather than having them imported here and paying a little bit extra because of that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I might do a video on some collecting tips and pet peeves. Let me know if that's something you'd like to see. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel because I do videos like this every week, so there's always something to watch. What was your favorite thing that I picked up at the convention? Let me know what it was down in the comments section. And if you guys have some cool finds that you want to send me, hit me up on social media. Twitter links will be down below in the description. Send me your pics and I'll show them at the end of these pickup videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time in the Nerd Lair. Stay nostalgic. Ayy.